So the recipe title was not clickbait whatsoever. We have keto peanut butter cups and a keto cup copycat in this video today. So you're gonna get two recipes, one video. You'll get a full view of me making the recipe and the recipe itself, and then you'll turn around and get a close-up of the recipe for keto cup copycat and then a close-up of me too. Stop. You don't love me like you say you do. I am Darius, the Sugarless Crystals, your sugar-free destination of YouTube. Enjoy me. Now you know I'm here for indulge. So what we're gonna start out with is we're gonna start with the keto peanut butter cup. Let's go straight into it. So what we have here is we have two different ways to make it. I'm going to make the keto peanut butter cup for you, and then I'm gonna make the keto cup copycat for you as well. So we're gonna start out with the peanut butter keto cup. This is gonna have Lily's chocolate chips. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually put half of the chocolate chips in here, and then I'm gonna add the other half. I'll explain why I'm actually doing that. So what I'm doing is double boiler style. The reason you're doing this is because, see, if you want to remold chocolate, you don't want to get it too hot, because chocolate actually has crystals within it. And when you actually melt it, you break some of those crystals down, so you lose some of them. So you melt half, and then you bring the other half back into it to reintroduce those crystals in order for it to remold again. This chocolate's designed to melt in your mouth, not in your hand. If it melts in your hand, it wasn't tempered correctly. Now, if you want to get technical, you could temper it the correct way by getting it up to a certain temperature and then bringing it back down. But I don't really have my handy dandy thermometer right now, and this is probably one of the most foolproof ways to do it. Sadly, the catch is with this method is it's not completely error-proof. Of course, if you get the chocolate too hot, then you have, you know, it'll never form back right again. I can't remember exactly what the correct name was, but it's not actually smart to put it on top of boiling water, because the boiling water with the steady steam, it's never going to. With the steady steam, it's going to get way too hot. If you have it on top of boiling water and you have a thermometer, then that's fine, because you can watch the temperature as it's rising. What I'm going to do now is simply place the other half of the chocolate chips in there and let the heat from the melted chocolate melt the new chocolate chips. So we'll get those crystals back in there. We're going to fill the cups up, and then we're going to grab our peanut butter. When I make the other half, I'll actually do a lot of close-ups so you can actually see what I'm doing. Speaking of the other half, when I drop in there, since you guys are watching my video, I'm gonna drop a few little dimes in there for you, okay? Just a few little tips for you, just a few little tips. All right, so this chocolate's pretty much melted down now. So we got that. And the method I'm using right now, all I did was simply have boiling water, took it off the boiler, set it up here, and I set the dish on top of it. So what I'm gonna do now is a half a teaspoon in each bottom of these silicone molds. A half a teaspoon simply because all I want to do, I just want to coat the bottom. I don't need super thick chocolate. Coat in the bottom, and then we're going to stick it in the refrigerator. So, I'm sorry, we're going to coat the bottom and stick it in the freezer. Now, since this is a little thick, we're going to give it a little tap. Well, it does spread actually, a little bit. It's not, like I said, it's not super hot, so it's not super loose. There we go. And when we stick this in the freezer, like 2 to 3 minutes is more than enough. 2 to 3 minutes. All we just need to do is all that needs to happen is you just want to get a nice top hardness for when you put your peanut butter up there and it doesn't soak down to the bottom. Now I'm only doing 3 here, but this recipe makes 6. So I'm gonna pop these in the freezer for 2 to 3 minutes. While I'm doing that, here's my peanut butter. Now, it's been in a refrigerator while I was melting the chocolate and preparing for the video. And so, let's say, I guess 15-20 minutes. So it's best to go ahead and make this ahead of time if you're choosing to do the peanut butter. When I get to the coconut butter, I'll talk about that more when it gets there. But anyway, speaking of the peanut butter, the reason I wanted to put it in the freezer was I wanted it to harden up, so it'll have less spread when I put it inside of the cup. You know, as now it's super thick because it's cold and it has a tablespoon of powdered sweetener in it. Now I will forewarn you, if you go ahead and taste this with just a tablespoon of powdered sweetener, you will get a cooling effect. So your best way to affect that, your best way to counter that is to use either a tablespoon of powdered allulose or a xylitol, or either you can use 1 teaspoon of powdered sweetener with a little stevia. But notice, if you don't use much powdered sweetener, it's not gonna harden up as much. Now, if you have that peanut butter loaded with sugar, then you know you don't have these problems. But you know, natural peanut butter, it tends to, you know, fight the power. Now, a tip with both of these recipes, the macros aren't exactly, they're not wrong, but they're not correct. Well, I guess if they're not correct, that means they're wrong too. So the macros, when it comes in it, the macros are actually higher than the actual cups are. And that's due to, it's hard to break down how much I'm putting in each cup. Now, I know if I use a half a cup of chocolate and a fourth a cup of peanut butter, I'll have enough to make 6. But there's definitely gonna be some left above both of them. There may not, you know, it's just due to the nature of what's being made. It's hard to make it exact. I've been talking that little short time to bring the cups out of the oven. The cups out of the oven is chocolate. The cups out of the freezer. I'm gonna get a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm gonna start with that. Now, and the direction has a 1/2 teaspoon. That's if you wanna make them super thick. But I'm not gonna make them extra thick right now. A heaping teaspoon. And for it being cold, you know, it gives you the ability to actually spread it around. The coconut butter ones, you don't have this problem because it's easy, they get hard, and I simply use a cookie cutter to cut them out. I really do apologize for the weird angles, but I'm tall and the table's like all the way down there. And with this particular recipe, I couldn't sit down and do it. I'm gonna put a 1/2 in this one. Cause I just wanna see, what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna overrun it though. Yeah, see, it's overrunning. I think it's gonna leak at the sides. Yeah, so you got a 1/4 teaspoon of each. So we're gonna grab my 1 teaspoon this time. We're gonna come in. We're gonna top these off. Now, if you run into a situation where you feel like you might need a little more chocolate, that's fine to dip it in there. Like I said, it's not gonna cause any harm whatsoever. That 1/2 teaspoon is way too much. By the time this video comes out, I would have already changed it in the recipe card. And a little technique you can use is place the peanut butter in the middle and then work around till you get to the center. So that way everything is uniform as it should be. You know, because you want your peanut butter cup to be pretty. I mean, it may not have to be. Now, if you want, what you also can do is you can use these to make the coconut butter ones. I have a few extra discs and I still have some chocolate left, and I'm gonna use those real fast. The peanut butter ones are definitely gonna be hard to get like super neat, simply because the Lily's chocolate chip is much thicker, and using the Lily's chocolate chip, you're gonna have a higher carb count. That's why I recommend using the chocolate. And I'll move on to that after those come out the freezer, and we'll do a taste test of both. So let's head over, well, not head over, I'm still gonna be here, but let's head to the Keto Cup Copycat right now. Now that we're making the Keto Cups Copycat, this is gonna be much different. Actually, what you're gonna do is you're still gonna melt the chocolate down, and what you wanna do is you wanna get either 100% chocolate, or you wanna get something like Lent's 90%, or maybe even you can use Lily's chocolate bar, whatever chocolate of your choice. What I suggest for the most authentic one is a little bit of 100% cacao or chocolate with cacao butter or cocoa butter, because there are 5 ingredients in the Keto Cup recipe and we're using 4. MCT oil, I don't know why they put it in there. I guess because of marketing, MCT oil, like it's crazy now. So you want to start out, as I said earlier with the keto peanut butter cups, you want to start out by simply melting down the chocolate, half of it, and then you want to bring in the other half. Now, if you want to add in the cocoa butter, you do half of that, which is 1 ounce. So you do half of 1 ounce, which is a 1/2 ounce. Anyway, I don't know why I just didn't say it from the beginning. Anyway, you do a 1/2 ounce of cocoa butter with a whole ounce of chocolate. And then you melt those 2 down. After those melt down, you're gonna melt them down the same way. Now, if you're using a microwave or the same method that I'm using, make sure you don't get it too hot. The chocolate itself, if you just have enough heat to it, it'll allow itself to melt. You don't wanna get it super hot because you want it to form back to where it's supposed to be. Now, if you wanna temper it to perfection, you can use a thermometer. There's resources all over the internet what temperature you should be at. Don't quote me, but I want to say it's like 115. I've tempered chocolate a couple times before, but it got to a point where it was just so tedious. I just like, you know, let me not get it so hot. For the coconut butter, what you want to do is simply have 1/4 of a cup of cocoa butter, and you want to be using monk fruit. This is what they use in the Keto Cups recipe, monk fruit. Now, whether they use powdered or they use liquid, I'm not sure, but I'm almost willing to bet they use liquid. Now, as far as sweetener, you can range from 1/8 of a teaspoon to 1/4 of a teaspoon. I prefer 1/4 of a teaspoon. If you just taste it now by itself, it's gonna taste overbearing. It's probably gonna be a little too much. But when you put that bitter chocolate on top of it, it's gonna taste perfect. Now, to mold these, you're gonna use the same method. 1/2 a teaspoon, but see this one's super easy because the chocolate is melted down much more. If you melt the lilies that much, I would definitely recommend using a thermometer, because if you melt that much, you're not gonna know what the temperature is. But with this, by being 100% cacao and throwing that cocoa butter in it, you're definitely gonna have a nice smooth meltdown. Stick it in the freezer 2 to 3 minutes. Now, while it's in the freezer, that 2 to 3 minutes, the only thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take it and we're gonna use a cookie cutter and we're gonna press out our circles that we're gonna use for our filling. So I have a cup right here. This is the cup and this is my filling. Literally, it sits right in the middle. I don't know if I can give a good example. of that. But it sits directly right in the middle to allow the chocolate to be able to go over the edges, and this is what you want, because this is gonna give you perfection. So we're gonna drop those in there, and then we're gonna take 1 teaspoon and we're gonna level it off and we're gonna smooth it out. You don't even have to shake it if you don't want to, and you shouldn't have an issue with it. It should just spread out by itself. But you may have to give it a little shake, you know, sometimes it happens. Now, you can leave these out at room temperature to allow them to set, or me personally, I like to stick them in the freezer because I'm usually ready to eat right then. If you wanna use that coconut butter inside of the lilies, that's perfectly fine. As you saw, I did it earlier. And what I'm gonna do is we're gonna sit down and we're gonna taste them both together. Woo, we got a little deja vu going on right here. I haven't been here in a minute. All right, so I don't know which one is which. I know these two are the peanut butter, and one of these two is the coconut butter, and one's the peanut butter that I used earlier. Let's see, let's break it in half, see what we got. That's not happening. All right, this is coconut butter. This is coconut butter instead of this one. And it tastes like a frozen Keto cup. It has the same bitterness to it. I do warn you guys about that. The Keto cups are very bitter chocolate. They have some that are sweetened and some that are unsweetened. But when it says sweetened, the chocolate's still not sweetened. Just the coconut butter is sweetened inside of it. So I do warn you about that. So if you're a fan of sweetened chocolate, yeah, you're gonna hate those. The coconut butter, oh. Both of these are coconut butter. Now this one is the Sugarless chocolate chip. I know that for a fact. Now this one it's pretty much perfect. The peanut butter layer isn't as perfect as this is right here, because you didn't have a cutout like you did with the other one. Now the Keto Cup Copycat, that one's definitely on point. But I do forewarn you with the Keto peanut butter cup. I've seen people say Reese's and stuff like that. You can make the peanut butter taste very similar to the Reese's cup peanut butter, but of course it's never identical. But when you add this chocolate into it, there's no comparison. I don't know. I guess it's just a gimmick. Like, it's impossible to do without carbs. Like, don't let them lie to you. I really should stop eating, but that's why I don't buy Keto cups now. Because on the way home, I just pop them back and forth. If you enjoyed this recipe, give it a thumbs up. And if you look down in the description box, you'll have a link to both of them. Not to mention, come this Thursday, my cookbook will be released. And I will do it via live. Okay? So everyone that attends the live show will get a special discount. But you have to attend the live show. If you catch it afterwards, because I'm only going to put the promo code inside the live show chat. I will see you guys then. I am Darius. This is Sugarless. This is your sugar-free destination of YouTube. And I'm not a chef. I'm trying to be one. But I'm an entertainer. Bye.